I'm with you. Okay, we ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the city commission meeting for Thursday, June the 16th at 1 o'clock. Our invitation today will be given by Ralph Lopez, and I'll lead the pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you today, Lord, for the opportunity to get together and do the work of the city for our citizens, Lord. We ask that our words and our actions be pleasing to you, and we thank you for the blessing of guiding us here safely, and we ask that you watch over us as we leave, Lord. We ask for blessings of rain, Lord, and we also ask for blessings for our city, our state, and our country, Lord. We thank you most of all, Lord, for the sacrifice of your Son, Jesus Christ. And we pray in his name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Guerrero. Commissioner Arias.
Here.
Commissioner Cherry.
Are there any considerations or changes or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I ask that we delete items 5A and items 8F.
With, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as corrected.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as corrected.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb. Commissioner Guerrero. Sorry about that. Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Next on the agenda is public comments. We don't have any. Then we have the consent agenda. The consent agenda, excuse me, is approved by a single motion. Any member of the commission may request an item be transferred to the regular agenda from the consent without discussion or vote. We will be voting on to approve the work session notes for June 9th and the commission meeting for June 9th. I'd entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Any, have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Next is ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2022-15, supporting a public-private economic development Main Street project.
Do you want us to?
Yes.
For this one? This is just the biannual resolution for coordinating project with Tucumcari Main Street in the city and New Mexico Main Street.
Have any questions or discussion on this? You said you did?
No.
No, okay. Commissioner Miller?
And this is on the contract?
No, this is the
on
MOU.
This is on the resolution 2022-15.
Okay, no.
I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2022-15.
Madam Mayor, I shall move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Yes.
Next is resolution 20.
Thank you.
That number is 2022-16.
Right, I figured that. Next is resolution 2022-16 to accept participation in the 2022-23 New Mexico Department of Transportation Co-op and to pledge matching funds. Ralph Lopez.
Good afternoon, Mayor Commissioners. We applied for and were awarded co-op funding for the Aber Addition Street Improvements Project. And we asked for 55,000 and they actually gave us 73,000, which I don't know how that bodes for our map application that we put in simultaneously. I'm hoping they didn't give us this more on this one and not gave us the other one, but I'm still hopeful. And but anyway, we were awarded the total amount of $73,333, with 55,000 would be a grant and our matching would be $18,333. This resolution is just to accept that project and also to pledge our matching funds on this one. I won't apply for a match waiver on this project because, you're only allowed to do one for the LGRF, and I'm hoping we still get the map, which would be a higher quantity typically. So I'm gonna wait and see if we get the map and, skip over on this one for matching funds and try to get more back for the city. So at this time, I'd like to ask for your approval of this resolution.
Gosh, very seldom do we ever get more than we ask.
Yeah, this is the first time.
Any questions or discussion on this resolution?
One question, Mayor. Hey, Ralph, is this still in the area of the rec center?
Yes, sir.
I would entertain a motion to accept resolution 2022-16.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-16.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Terry,
yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, under bids and contracts, is agreement between the New Mexico Department of Transportation and the city of Tucumcari to accept for participation in the 2023 co-op program.
Mayor Commissioners, this is the actual agreement that goes with the resolution that we just passed. Same funding amount, same area, everything. So at this time, I'd like to ask for your approval and stand for questions.
Well, they didn't give us any more in between here and there.
Well, I applied for the transportation project fund in the amount of $1 million to go to this project, and they actually let us do underground utilities with that one this year. So if we get that one, we'll have a pretty good project. It'll be a major size project, and especially if we get the map as well. So,
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 co-op agreement.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second, but I do have a quick question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So there's no match waiver with co-op?
there is,
Map?
but the LGRF, we have two LGRF local government road fund projects. And they'll let you only do a match waiver request for one of them, and typically the map is bigger. And I usually try, and since these are 25% matching, you know, the maps are typically 300 to 400,000. The amount that we would save is quite a bit more if we get the map and I can apply for it. Some years they'll let me do LGRF match waiver and the transportation project fund, which is a different funding source. It's quite a bit higher, but it only has a 5% match. Typically, the map is the highest matching that we have to pay.
Because the other one comes straight from NDOT.
Yeah, correct.
So, but I don't understand why there's not, we can only apply for one. We don't get school buses anymore at all.
Right. They've always just let us only apply for a match waiver for one of the LGRFs. I typically try to do it on the larger amount.
Okay, that's fine. And
Okay.
I did second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Think about it.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry.
Yes.
Okay, next one is new business. First is the biennial MOU agreement between 2022 to 2024 between New Mexico Main Street and the city of Tucumcari and Tucumcari Main Street.
Good afternoon. This is the biannual MOU that goes along with the resolution that you just approved.
Anybody have any questions with the MOU?
Let's see, I think,
Not doing contract yet, I'm just doing. We'll get this contract in just a minute. MOU, anybody have any questions?
no,
Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to accept the biennial MOU 2022 to 2024 between New Mexico Main Street, City of Tucumcari, and Tucumcari Main Street.
Madam Mayor, so moved.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Okay, now we got the contract.
Okay.
Now we're on the contract. So next is a professional contract between the City of Tucumcari and Tucumcari Main Street. So
Time for any questions?
that's what I have. Anyone have any?
well, I do have some questions.
Okay,
We're looking at $60,000 reimbursement from you guys? Is that what it is, on matching funds?
No, this is the contract amount for us to do the scope of work detailed in this contract.
Yeah, but it's saying that the city shall provide the $60,000, is that correct?
Yes,
Uh, And then under it, it also has all the contracts where, I mean, I haven't had time to really read it like I should, but I'm trying to go through it 90 miles an hour. All the things that the city is also obligating themselves to providing for you guys, like maintenance, coordinator that can carry, implementing quality care of the Great Blocks projects, in-kind support is what you're asking for.
Commissioner Roy, I'd be happy to kind of explain that. Following the work session we had a couple of weeks ago, the discussion we had was both about engaging the maintenance on the railroad facility as well as strengthening the process of oversight for the capital outlay funding from Economic Development Department, New Mexico Main Street on the Great Block project. So basically, I took the input from that work session and added those elements into this contract. So quarterly meetings, quarterly reviews, and reports as well to the city commission, as well as setting up a process for that quality control, quality oversight, and the coordination with New Mexico Main Street on that funding as well, because they're gonna require, with the funding, as you well know, some regular updates on the drawdowns and the reimbursable for the capital outlay funding. So the contract itself is for the scope of services. The capital outlay funding is already committed, and that would be a reimbursable.
What do you mean reimbursable? You mean that?
So the state executes a notice of obligation with the city of Tucumcari. The city hires the contractor to do the work, the physical infrastructure improvements in the district, and then and obligates those funds. So you can almost, with timing, the city manager would submit a payment to the contractor and also an invoice to the state to get that reimbursed as well. So-
You're talking about the 60,000 or the other?
No, it's 400,000, which is the next phase of the Great Blocks. That is reimbursable.
Yeah, that's reimbursable.
The 60,000
It's not.
is the city's commitment in response to the MOU that you just passed and the resolution. So the 60,000 is for the scope of services in this contract. I made some edits to the second ETS, and I can walk through the edits that I made over the previous contract if the commission would like that. And I made some edits to the third one, which was the capacity building strategy, mostly around process and coordination.
Yeah, and then we also require to maintain and keep that building in good standards according to this contract.
That's correct. And that's, we discussed at the work session. The city owns that property.
We do
And
all
so
that.
just setting up a process not only for the service requests on the maintenance, but to kind of follow up and track that. Usually the city would not turn over the maintenance to the tenant, because there's other quality control issues there, right? And so I think
That's correct, but we're also waiving the rent.
that is in here as well, yes.
Yes,
I understand that.
I mean, we got other museums. We got the museum that was owned by the city as well. And-
Mayor, if I may, some of
Where's
the
the
big,
money gonna come for the 60,000?
we have the money available. I guess to clarify some things, previously, last year's contract was 55,000, correct? So it's only an increase of $5,000. I think as the city, we need to upkeep our buildings, our infrastructure, and it's not an issue for us to do that. That's something that we have lacked in the past, and we definitely need to protect those investments we had previously, the grant funds that went to rehabilitate that facility. So I think this is nothing out of the ordinary. This is a good ask, something we should be able to meet as a city. An increase of $5,000 for the overall compensation isn't outrageous. He does a great job. I appreciate our relationship between Tucumcari Main Street, the city, as well as New Mexico Main Street. And this is something I would recommend that we move forward with.
No, I understand that, and I don't disagree with us keeping the maintenance or update on our buildings. I think there has been I've been inquired about calling that out on all the buildings, not only one. But at the same time, when I'm looking at, sometimes when we have programs, we want to look and see the least costly way to implement it. And especially now with us having so many museums, we've got so many museums in town, and I don't think we compensated the other ones this much, do we?
This
Others-
contract is not asking for any compensation for the Railroad Museum.
It's 60,000 right here.
No, that's for Tucumcari Main Street, not the, that is not for.
But also I
operation of the
read
railroad.
where it's something about renovating the museum, or is it on the new?
What is that? It's just on the implementing and repairs and maintenance.
Yeah, and then there was another one where it said.
That's under our economic transformation strategy. That is one of the goals that we have set for ourselves through conversation with the city. And this is what we're saying we're working on. This is, I mean, yes, it falls under our scope of work that we're providing, but we're not asking for funding for the museum.
No, not for the museum, I'm sorry, the organization, I'm sorry. It's just that you are housed in the museum, that's what it is.
My
That's
office,
the
yes.
difference, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, point of clarification,
Sure.
but it's still the same. Yeah, so it was easy to confuse others because of the way I was talking, but actually it is about your program, which is housed at the museum, which is also needs the renovation part. And then we will pay these on quarterly, $15,000 every quarter. Is that correct?
That's what it, yes, sir, on, part C, that's what it states quarterly.
So actually, you get your matching funds from the state's 401,000
That's not matching funds, that's capital outlay grant.
capital outlay grant to operate you then?
No, that's for Second Street, for the Great Blocks project.
Yeah.
That's something totally separate of this contract.
And your budget is, well, how much?
We're working on the next fiscal year budget right now, but it's about 120,000 is what we operate with.
120,
Mhm.
and then 60 would be 180.
No, 60 would give us 120.
Oh, 60 would be 100, and the other 60 comes from?
Fundraising efforts that we do and grant writing.
Okay, well,
We do get 10,000 from the county.
okay, let's see how this goes. I know we gave it one more year.
So Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I may, so I know in our last meeting, Connie had mentioned that there's been several repair items that haven't been taken care of, correct? Some of the smaller items. I would take this contract to mean that we're responsible for the major repair items, correct?
Yes.
I would like to see us be able to empower you just a little bit to maintain some of the smaller items. I know we've been inside your office when there's been a house mouse come by, so something for pest control or anything of the other sorts or doors that are not hanging correctly. I would like to amend the contract, Madam Mayor, to allow for an additional $10,000 for a total of 70 to allow her to make some improvements that aren't of a larger scope as she needs, for that to be reimbursed back to them, to the city.
Madam Mayor, I'd keep those separate from this. We have funding available to accomplish that same goal, but I would not have it specifically part of that contract, which would throw sort of the $60,000 threshold. And we do have funds available, and I do have Rochelle online to be able to speak of where those funds are available. Can you hear us, Rochelle? You're on mute now.
Wouldn't that cover those 10,000, wouldn't it cover under this maintenance part that's already, the city's already working on?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you now.
Did we wake you up, Michelle?
Rochelle, can you hear us? Put on speakerphone, that'll probably work easier. Let's see this one. Yeah, I'm just gonna put you on speakerphone, I think that'll work better.
Oh, that's what that's.
Sorry.
Ralph's supposed to be listening for
One
you.
second, let me put you on speaker. All righty, go ahead. So you said the last year was when Commissioner Arias made a recommendation of $10,000. And I was speaking of potentially making those improvements, but keeping it separate from the contract. And we had briefly discussed this morning of some options on where to pull those funds from if need be.
Correct. I don't think the $10,000 should be added to the contract. It is, as Commissioner or Mayor Pro Tem pointed out, it is the city's building. It's, as we made the improvements for the Chamber of Commerce, we do have money based on the city ordinances with GRT that is in general fund that we could utilize to fix the repairs that are needed at the depot.
All right, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yes, ma'am. So, how would that look, Mark? Would we bring that back on the next meeting to get that approved, or?
No, I think to clarify in my mind then, what we use for Main Street is a separate dedicated fund.
Correct.
And so the maintenance probably not eligible to come out of that fund. But in our budget request, we can set aside whatever amount that we come up with.
Correct.
We just have to figure out a mechanism that they can do their own contracting or whatever to get it done and submit an invoice to the city and have it paid to the contractor, probably direct in a timely manner or whatever.
Correct.
That would be.
The invoices would just have to be made out to the city of Tucumcari, and anything over $1,000 would have to follow procurement. So, Connie would just have to submit her 2 quotes. If it's over 1,000, we would issue the requisition and the PO. So then that could move forward with whatever repairs she's needing.
Okay, let me ask you this question. If we go with 10,000 for this building right here, are we gonna go with 10,000 on all the other buildings that we have projects going on? No, we're probably not. And they also are run by other organizations. So I think if we're gonna set a presidency with one building, we're gonna wind up with more in our plate than we can handle. I think what right now we need to do is focus on the contract, and anything extra, we should deal with it as it comes,
I believe currently every other city-owned building has a line item for maintenance. Is that
How much?
correct? I don't know, but there's a line item that when stuff is repaired and taken care of.
I just want to clarify something very quickly. I have been researching what the ordinances state on the GRT. There is a specific amount that is broken apart, and it's 0.125%, and it is called municipal infrastructure gross receipts tax ordinance. And it is clearly stated in the ordinance that it is to furthering or implementing economic development plans and projects as defined in the Local Economic Development Act, payment of special obligation bonds issued pursuant to a Revenue Bond Act, repair, replacement, construction, or acquisition of infrastructure improvements. This 0.125% is part of the amount that is also given to Main Street and economic development in that fund, in the 0254 fund.
Okay,
So they both have the same description in the ordinances. The only thing is that I'm not sure as far as with LEDA, if we're allowed to use any of the cash reserves that are in 0254 to maintain a building. So I'm not sure on that, but I do know that in the general fund side, we could utilize that money to repair the building. As far as the other museums go for, if you're speaking specifically about like the historical museum,
Yeah.
We also have 0.25% that should be utilized for municipal capital outlay gross receipts, which also would repair the building. So I have provided Mark a breakdown of all the GRT we received and how it should be separated. And we can discuss that further at the next budget meeting.
So in other words, well, you only got 2.5, but that's for everything, not only for one project. Is that correct?
So in that specific amount,
It's for
for
all
the
projects,
economic
not
development
one.
and general fund, we have received $301,000. If I were to break that apart specifically by how the ordinance states it.
Okay, now let's say like we had to replace the asbestos at the historical museum. That would come out of that money, wouldn't it?
The historical museum would come out of, give me just 1 second so I can make sure I'm at the right ordinance. Sec. That one would be 43, 42. Yes, I believe that would come out of the same way.
Yes, and that's why we have to be careful that we just don't go around and committing ourselves to so much amount when we have other things that could bring up an expense that we might need to utilize that fund for.
But Mayor Pro Tem, in the past, I never have ever seen the GRT broken apart based specifically how the ordinance states it's supposed to be used, which with all concerns with the rec center and the pool and the historical museum, which is kind of why I went in and specifically broke it apart so that we can see exactly how much money, because all that money, all the GRT is put into general fund revenue. But the question is, should we be breaking it apart and be utilizing it specifically what it's for? So, and for me, this is my recommendation. If the train depot belongs to us, then that belongs in part of that general fund infrastructure.
Well,
As does the
I'm not
historical
saying it
museum.
doesn't. The whole deal is that being able to have that fund gives it the leeway if we have other problems in other buildings that, and if we commit our money to certain, we commit all the money to certain, some of the money to some of the buildings, we cannot utilize it because we already approved that budget. You see what I'm saying? So it's the best way, that way we've been dealing with it, because I remember when we had the asbestos thing, but the biggest problem we had, we didn't have enough money to do it, and finally we were able to get it, and it took us a long time to get it taken care of. And that wasn't a cheap project, that was an expensive one.
So for me, the historical museum is a general fund department, so I would, and as is, the train depot belongs to the executive side in as far as a capital asset. So I would believe that any infrastructure improvements that need to be done on any general fund departments or buildings would come out of that GRT money.
You're telling me the museum belongs to the city, we own it, it's our property.
Yes.
So, and the depot belongs to the city, we own it, it's not the executive, it is owned by the city, the community owns it. So we have to do the same to all, maintaining and keeping it up, okay? It's not like.
Agreed.
I guess the difference with this, Rochelle, is that it's actually been brought to our attention. I'm worried that if we continue to let these repairs go unnoticed, they're gonna create water damage, and $10,000 worth of repairs is gonna turn into $100,000. So I think we need to be proactive and get these corrected. It's been brought to our attention. I have not had other facilities or facilities maintenance reach out to me about other buildings that have a lack of repairs. I'm sure there are some. There's many buildings that could use just a coat of paint, but since this is brought to our attention, we need to stop ignoring it. We need to do something about it before those repairs
I
are
understand,
tenfold.
I understand that. city manager, but one of the things is, and I'm not against having the repairs done, but I am against putting a special fund just to be used for mice and little things. The deal is, if we get that 2.5 for the purpose of fixing all the buildings, then we have the responsibility to keep it up. And I'm not disagreeing on that, and you keep bringing that up, that I'm not. I am saying that I'm disagreeing on the fact that I don't want $10,000 at this point just to be allocated for one specific purpose. It should stay.
Oh, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not suggesting that we allocate $10,000 out of that money at all. But what I am saying is that if Connie follows the procurement and she brings her 2 quotes, it's still up to,
The
city clerk and the city manager to make sure she's in,
compliance.
she's following procurement, and up to the city manager to approve or deny that, that repair.
Yes, and that's not what I'm arguing about. I'm arguing about specifically saying $10,000 aside for the
Well,
city.
and I think that was just a suggestion from Commissioner Arias.
Well, he said he amended it, so.
No, he said
I would like
would
to
like
amend
to,
this,
he
and then
didn't
okay.
want to make a motion or anything. He just said he'd like.
Because I don't like to get into difficulty with the other ones.
Well, as long as we can follow the process and allow these matters to get taken care of, I'm fine with it.
I'm just saying that it should not be part of the contract to come out of the economic development fund, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay,
So Commissioner Arias, I think if you look under the capacity building strategy on number 3,
Page 5.
page 5, it talks about that in coordination with the city manager and commission, that we would develop a process to coordinate on improvements and maintenance of the depot. We would establish a list of priority maintenance needs that considers both low-cost maintenance requirements as well as large-scale capital improvements. So that is it's detailed out in here. We just need to sit down and have those conversations and then be assured that, they'll be paid for.
That will work for me as long as we're having a conversation.
Oh, that's what I brought earlier, and then all of a sudden we were just specifically trying to give it another $10,000 when you already had an agreement on here.
Okay,
I didn't ask for that.
Any other questions on the contract?
No, look, if I may,
Go ahead.
Mayor, that everybody understands that the Main Street comes out of a certain GRT that's dedicated. And that's where your contract operates. And so the building repairs will come out of whatever.
Yeah.
City general.
That's a different.
Yeah, it's going to be out of another GRT. And when we sit down and budget, we'll be able to find out, because the state is already, if we don't have, we have numerous GRTs that we collect from. And if they're not dedicated by referendum, we can intermingle in now.
Yes.
Pretty much. It goes to the general fund. So you have a commitment from me that when we sit down and do the budget, that we'll have something in there for your maintenance that you can draw on. And we probably need to look at our procurement code also, Mr. Manager, down the road here pretty quick.
I agree, yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve the professional contract agreement between the city of Tucumcari and Tucumcari Main Street.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the professional contract with Tucumcari Main Street.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Abstain.
Okay, next is professional services agreement with Ronald Carter, MD, as medical director. Are you saying that one?
Yes, ma'am, I'll be presenting that. This is, a lot of these contracts that will be coming up now are going to be in relation to our contracts that are due at the end of the fiscal year. This is our medical director for our EMS program. And Dr. Carver has agreed to continue to be our medical director at an amazing price, I might add. He's very well known. I brought this up at the previous year's presentation. Amazing individual. I'm really fortunate to be able to have him, especially at that cost. So with that, Madam Mayor, I would ask for your approval at this time.
Questions?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Just, I've been out of it a little bit. Mark is, we've had him for quite a while. Where's he
Just a
located?
couple of years.
He's located in Lovington.
Okay. it is a good price and they're happy with him and all.
Absolutely, great quality. He's easily accessible anytime they need to get a hold of him, he responds.
Is he doing the rest of the county and the municipalities, do you know?
I'm not sure exactly who he contracts with or who else he's working with. I know he does represent some clients. I want to say Carlsbad, some larger municipalities down southeast, but very well known. Came with very high recommendations.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? I entertain a motion to approve this professional contract agreement between the city of Tucumcari, with Ronald Carver, MD as medical director.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the professional service agreement with Dr. Ronald Carver.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I believe 7B was overlooked.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure.
Well, isn't that the one we just did?
No, ma'am, that's for the golf course.
Oh.
Golf course, it's a
down here.
Tucumcari Main Street.
Yeah.
I have it online. I don't know if I have a different.
7B should be
7B.
extension contract with M&M.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did skip that. I'm sorry. Well, I had it laying here, but okay. Well, let's go back up to 7B, then, the
So let's
extension.
just forget about it.
The extension contract between M&M Falls for golf course services. Let me find it now.
Yes, so am I.
I misplaced it. I saw it a while ago.
Right after.
Okay, here it is.
is.
All right, Charlie, you're up.
Your Honor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, how are y'all?
Thank you.
I'll present this and Charlie could fill in as needed. This is a 2-year contract. It is the second of 2 eligible based on our last RFP. Charlie's been managing our golf course for many years. He's done an exceptional job. I get nothing but compliments all the time. Course is looking great. It's nice and green. We did have a discussion amongst ourselves recently, and everything throughout the contract remains the same except for the compensation. Charlie this year was asking for an increase of $5,000 from it's about $115,000 to $120,990. This was based on everything going up. Fuel prices have gone up. He has to pay for fuel for the equipment. He provides the equipment. He also provides any materials for the golf course. The dressings now have gone up. So all materials, fuel, and Charlie, any other comments on that? I'm sure everything else has gone up, but.
Everything's gone. The heat's gone up.
The wind's gone up.
Will I break this? No. Thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me be the golf professional for the city of Tucumcari for many years. My head, my heart, my soul is into this facility and also the community. And I've always been proud of my city, Tucumcari, the golf course. And it's a stopping point for tourism going through. I wish we could advertise it a little bit more. I know that there's other things that get a little more attention, but that would be one thing that I'd like to bring up. We have participation from the high school. We now have participation from the college, which is great. We're having a national golf team, men and women, next year to the college there. And they will be using the facility out there for their practice and training. And Marty has already recruited, I think, 2 or 3 women and 2 or 3 men that will actually participate for Mesa Land College, which I think is wonderful. And I can only see that program going up. As far as the course, it's a challenge. One guy getting out there. I do have help. I have Mr. Bittigan, Howard Bittigan gets out there and helps me pull down trees every once in a while. A couple other people get out and help me. But I love what I do. And somebody asked me if I work today. I don't think I've ever worked a day in my life. If you love what you do, it's not work. So I appreciate y'all very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I like to say this too. This year, and I don't know if it came from the COVID that we've had in the past, but it seems like we've had more people, more young people, more older people, more retired people come out and start in golf. And it's really been exciting. If any of you all are interested in
I
coming
think I have
out,
a chance.
oh yeah, you know, we'd love to see you out there. And that's been an exciting part of it too. And, you know, just look forward to providing the best facility that we can offer, you know, to the citizens of Tucumcari. Everyone is welcome. You know, I used to hear things, well, that's a country club, it's a private. No, it's not. It's open to anyone and everyone that wants to come out there, and they're welcome, you know, to come out and see our facility. So if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Let me ask you a question. How much percentile of tourists do you think you get out there?
You know, Ralph, a long time ago when we were advertising on the boulevard, I bet we pulled in maybe 2-3% off the highway from snowbirds, but we had a lot of signage. And I think you were on the commission then when we were doing a lot of advertising on the highway. And those people stay overnight, they buy a meal, you know, they go to our shops and our businesses here in town and they purchase things, which comes back to us. But you know, I had a couple from Kansas last year that came here. They had a family reunion. They didn't know we had a golf course. They just kind of stumbled onto it. They came out there. They loved it. They loved the community. They thought this was great. You know, they came off the highway just by accident. No signage or anything like that. But, you know, everything helps when you can advertise it a little bit.
You're not advertising now?
No, not like, remember the signs we used to have?
Yeah, we
coming
used to
both
have one
ways?
out there.
Yeah, yeah. But that would be nice if we could get some, but I know that costs money.
We do have a little bit, Charlie, that goes out. It talks about having a municipal golf course, 9 holes. What we have in the area, it talks also about the disc golf, but that's something we can look at through Lodgers Tack and through our marketing firm is highlighting specifically whether it's on social media, whether it's on billboards. It's definitely a topic that we can discuss in the future.
Sure.
How about have you seen any increase in retirement people?
Yeah, you know, it's really nice. I had the two gentlemen come out this Wednesday I have group lessons, and they're retired businessmen that retired from jobs here in the community. And man, they're excited. They can't hit a golf ball quite yet. They're learning. They're just starting out. But it's exciting to talk to them and to get them excited into something that they can do for a long time. And this one guy told me, he says, you know, I never thought about golf while I was working, and now all I think about is playing golf. And so he's gotten involved in it, and it's great. He was a businessman here for 43 years.
That's good to see that adult.
Yeah.
And you're getting more and more women out there too.
Yes, we are, which is great. I mean, you got to have a woman's touch on no matter where you go. You know, my wife taught me that a long time ago. So it's wonderful.
Any other questions, comments? I would entertain a motion to approve the extension contract with M&M Golf for golf course services.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
If I have a second,
I'll second.
roll call please.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb,
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry for my appearance. You know, usually when I worked in these chambers a long time ago, I had a tie and a suit,
And you sat right here.
but now I look like I just got off a tractor. But thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Charlie. Early course is looking good. I'm not too
Thank
sure
you,
because I don't get to get out much, but
Come on
I
out.
heard it's looking good. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
All right, next is the contract renewal with eGolf and Burley and Martinez and Harwood.
Yes, ma'am. This is our water rights attorney. Same thing, it's at the end of the fiscal year. I've been very satisfied with their performance. Reached out, had a email chain go back and forth, and they're still interested in moving forward, being our attorney for our water rights. It's still at the same amount, not to exceed, I believe is it 20, 25,000?
25.
25.
It says amended compensation to 25. So is that a difference or? It's all right. I
It should be the same amount, you're right. 25,000 is what it should be though. So right now, some of the key projects, just to let y'all know what we're working on is, we're still working on that ordinance, discussing industrial wells. we're still working on stuff for the Tucumcari Lake project. Most recently, I had an email this morning, actually. We're working with New Mexico Game and Fish and a few other entities with some drafted paperwork to spell out some guidelines for Tucumcari Lake when it comes to the potential of punching a new well. And we also have some things behind the scenes. The most important, I guess, why we have them for day-to-day type business for combined and commingled permits for our well fields. We have pretty much 3 well fields based on geographic locations. You have the Old Town site wells that are on the north side. You have Hoover well field, and then you have Metro well field, which is out towards Metro Park, 5 Mile Park, golf course area. So we're trying to strategically place those wells in a permit because previously we've over diverted water. We had some issues with the maintenance and upkeep in some of our wells. It was quite costly or not worth the expense to go back and repair. So with that being said, instead of having to go back and punch a new well, which is quite costly and it's a lot of hoops to jump through, we're trying to combine and commingle those into geographic areas. That way we could borrow some of the other well rights and put them into that location so we don't over divert. So right now we're in the process of paying back some of those over diversions. But back to the contract, they're doing a great job. Again, there's a lot of pending things we have been working on, no issues. At this point, I'd ask to renew this contract. And this is the last year of the contract before we'd have to go out for RFP again.
Any other questions, comments?
Quick question, about how much have we spent on it this year?
Nowhere near the 25,000. We had some other hiccups that we ran into, so we did use that full amount the prior year and then some. We had to amend the contract to actually utilize more. But right now, I could actually pull up the actuals.
It's all right,
It's nowhere near
less
that.
than 25,000.
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions? I would entertain a motion to approve the contract renewal with Egolf, Fairleigh, Martinez, and Harwood.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb,
Yes.
Commissioner Inez,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry.
Yes.
Next is the legal service agreement with Y-Law PC.
Yes, ma'am. This is our attorney for legal services, specifically to personnel issues, HR concerns. They've been amazing. Ever since they've been on the contract, we have not lost any type of personnel issue that might have been protested towards the city. That includes anything from unemployment. If an employee was terminated or resigned on their own and still files for unemployment, we fight that to make sure we don't have to pay those costs. And we have not lost any of those. Anything that we've had for terminating employees, and if they try to file any lawsuits, we have not lost any of those. Very credible law firm. This is for an amount to not exceed $20,000. This year we have about $20,000. We're right there. We use them quite often. They're very beneficial to the city. So again, I'd ask for the approval of this contract.
Yes. Real quick, then, Mark, you said that you probably met the 20,000 this year, but that was for 2 different firms too, right?
No, sir. So this is 20,000 specific to Y-Law, 25,000 specific to Harwood.
No, but we had the other guy, Randy, for a while, right?
Randy Knudsen.
Yes.
But
No,
that's for
no,
different.
No,
Van
Ben
Fleck.
Fleck.
Oh, so that's part of NMLGL. That's a third separate contract. So they handle, they're our general counsel, our day-to-day reviewing contracts, just day-to-day business stuff, drafting easements, things of that nature.
So
This is-
we're still gonna use them for that, and then we're gonna use this new firm for
No,
your
sir.
HR.
Last commission meeting, I was advised to go ahead and start looking around. I have reached out to the law firm we liked with cannabis. They are interested. And Alec and I have talked about going out for RFP.
So that's my mistake. I thought that's what this one was.
No, sir. No, sir. Okay. They are NMLGL, our general counsel. This is specific to HR and personnel issues.
I beg your pardon, I was confused on that.
So I entertain a motion to approve the legal services agreement with Law PC.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the legal services agreement with Wylock.
I have a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Wyatt,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Oh, and we're skipping the next one, and I misspoke on that. It's the reason I was wondering about the conflict is with the county, not Clovis, but we'll talk about that later. All right, next is the agreement for marketing, advertising, promotions, and public relations services with Robin, something consulting.
Robin Bogan.
Oh, yeah. All right.
She has been our marketing consultant for the past 2 years. This was recommended quite some time ago by the Lodgers Tax Board. They have been impressed with her work and her reporting. She's been doing a really great job for us here. It's a lot more personal than I think the last firm was. They were a large firm out of Albuquerque, and we just didn't get that attention like we do now. Can't give her any more compliments. I mean, she's amazing. She's been great. She contracts with Leighton Moon, who's also done the graphics design for many of our advertising, as well as the rebranding of the logo itself. So I'd heavily ask for you two all to please to approve this. And again, we've already had Lodgers Tax Advisory Board's recommendation to do so.
Any questions concerning this? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agreement for marketing, advertising, promotions, and public relations services with Robin Bogan Consulting.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement with Robin Moving Consultant.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wyatt.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, if I would, I'd like to get answers out as soon as I can, if I could find them. Commissioner Cherry, that's $1,945.47 remaining on the Wylaw contract out of the 20,000. So we have used them, utilized them quite heavily. When it comes to NMLGL, I don't have that number, but we haven't come close to their 20,000 threshold.
And it's end of the year, so that's close. What's YLAW stand for?
Wylaw.
Wylaw.
Letter Y and law.
All right, thank you.
Next, executive lodgers tax funds for fireworks.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to clarify why 5A was pulled from the agenda earlier as a proclamation prohibiting certain types of fireworks. In order to pass that, we have to do that 20 days prior to the actual holiday, which would be the 4th. And today was 18 days, so we didn't make the cutoff. Therefore, we cannot implement that proclamation. With that being stated, whether we decide to pass that or not, we were discussing the best route for the city to go ahead and purchase some fireworks just in case, whether we decided as y'all did as the commission or not. I feel it's a good thing since it's in a controlled environment. I've already spoke with Interim Chief Casey Mackey. He's reached out to the drill departments as well. They'll be having a controlled burn, weather permitting, potentially this weekend to burn the dry vegetation around the Elks. With that being stated, we did submit an order for fireworks in the amount of about $9,600. Shipping was actually cheaper this year. Typically, we're paying around $4,000 for shipping. This year was $1,900, but we're having to travel down south to get it in a small town near El Paso. But with this company, we're able to get quite a bit of fireworks. They didn't have all the 3-inch shells that we typically purchase, but we were able to get some other cakes with the multi-shot. I feel it's beneficial to have some kind of event like this, specifically since it's, again, a controlled environment. Maybe it will help discourage some of those individuals to not light so much on their own and be cautious and go down to the community event instead. With that being stated, we do have the opportunity to promote this, and I feel instead of having to utilize funds out of our general fund, that lodgers tax out of the executive side is allowable for purchase of the fireworks. So to save some money in our general fund, I request that the city commission pass and approve that the fireworks expenditures come out of the executive side of lodgers tax. And I'll get you an exact number right now. Give me 1 second. I know it's about $9,600, but I have the exact amount. It is, my computer will load.
And that's, Mark, while you're looking at that, real quick, for me, does that include, that's just a city share? And they all just put.
No, so this is a grand total. We'll actually, the county's committed to $1,000 of that amount and Elks Club 4,000. So we'll get reimbursed. We pay the invoice up front. This would actually be charged to the Chamber of Commerce. They put it on. And then we pay the chamber and then the county and the Elks Club would reimburse the city. So the total amount is $9,629.29.
Let me ask you a question. Has this been run before the lodger's tax? That's why we have an advisory, even if it's executive, it's still lodger's tax money, should be run before the lodger's tax advisory board. That's why we have this.
I have not, Mayor Pro Tem. The reasoning behind that, to do that, we would not make it prior to ordering the fireworks or to the 4th of July. And then ultimately, all lodger's tax is ultimately decided upon by the commission.
I know, but
Specifically-
that's why we have an advisory board. We don't want to be, I mean, if we don't utilize them, why bypass them? You know what I mean? We should be able, I mean, that's their goal is to see how they're gonna utilize their money that is allocated to their own bed tax that they have in the community. And that's why, you know, I always have said, you know, we need to run things through the larger tax so that they can, actually, they seem to have an idea of what they want and don't want to promote.
And I think that, go ahead, Commissioner.
If I may, real quick, I liaison with the Lodgers Tax Board, and mostly they make recommendations, not on the executive side, on the promotion side only. They will make some recommendations on the lodgers, or on the executive side, when they feel it's needed, but usually they leave the executive side of the lodgers tax to the commission.
As a timing thing, Commissioner Cherry, I typically do run it by them if there's time, but again, this was not an effort to bypass them in any way. It
The whole
was
deal
strictly
is,
the time.
and I understand that, but this is, if it's gonna be, you said a promotional, that this firework would be, that would be, but you want it out of the executive side. And it's really important that when we have boards and people are serving on boards, that we do get their opinion. We can overrule a board, that's not a problem. The problem is that we understand where they stand. And that's what I'm pointing out. And I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Sherry, but in the past, I know that when we committed the convention center, we had the lodgers tax involved, and they okayed the executive side to commit to that big old lump, and it helps better with the public. But anyway, that's something that it's up to you guys, whether you want, but I think it's always good to advise the advisory board to let us know. I mean, if we don't like it, we can always overrule it, that's not important.
Ultimately, Mayor, it's gonna amount to around $4,500 in what will come out of lodgers tax, the rest will be reimbursed. And again, like I said, this was not in an effort to bypass anyone. It's for the sake of time. The next lodgers tax meeting will not be until July 6th.
Yeah, but you can also plan ahead of time, if you're gonna utilize it.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the executive lodgers tax funds for fireworks. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
I think.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb?
I'm gonna go ahead and okay it, I hope next time they consult the lodgers tax.
Okay, next item on the agenda is executive session. And we're going, I need to entertain a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. Discussion of limited personnel matters regarding the agreement for city manager Mark Martinez. I entertain a motion.
Also, move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cherry?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield? Mayor Pro Tem Webb?
Yes.
Commissioner Arias?
Don't worry about it.
I'm sitting here going, what? Hey, you guys, you're not gonna stick around and just sit and visit?
We won't be
I
long.
gotta go back to work.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for coming, we appreciate it, Eduardo. Okay, let's take this off.
Thanks, Eduardo, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark, all the commissioners.
Yeah, y'all. Be careful going back. Let's see, now, one of these is the. That's Main Street. In Black. Across the street.
So our man.
I have such a mess up here.
I didn't get his name.
Oh, I turned my see off.
You gonna give us 5 minutes?
And maybe, yeah, go ahead.
Let's start it out.
Go smoke. Go ruin your lunch.
God, I sit up there and I can't move.
You've never run into Charlie?
No, I've been out there a number of times.
Wow.
He's probably out on the course taking care of stuff.
He's one of the hardest working.
I'm sure he is.
I know, because he's doing a lot of making.
Can't be a golf pro in slack, honestly.
That's plus, he has to drive in from Lubbock. He stays here all week and he goes home on the weekend.
Wow. Did you sleep at the clubhouse?
Oh, he rents a little kitchenette from Tel, or,
okay.
no, from, the tall one, Baka. Real
Oh,
tall.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Knitting.
I got 3 o'clock appointment. I don't know if I'll be here when they come back or not.
Is it on mute?
No, it's going.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Probably need to put it on mute.
I'll let somebody else do that. There's a microphone. Is that the one?
What's that?
There's a little microphone. I'll let you do it. That one there?
I don't want to end it.
forgot about that.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Excuse me.
Every time I say the faithful, it's always you six. It's always you six.
Recorders are on.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I would entertain a motion to reconvene from executive session, noting that nothing was discussed other than limited personnel matters regarding the agreement for city manager Mark Martinez.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya.
Yeah.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry.
Yes.
Now, we need to act on what we just discussed. Mark?
Yes,
We
ma'am, yes.
need to act on this, okay. I would entertain a motion to accept the interim city manager's employment agreement as discussed and changed during our executive session.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Next is the city manager's report.
Yes, ma'am. It's only been 1 week, so I don't have too much to discuss, but I did want to bring it to the attention of the commission that I prefer that we have some type of special meeting the last week of June, which would be the 27th through the 30th, the 30th being a Thursday. I do have some items that we need to discuss whether we approve or not before the end of the fiscal year. One being the Clinton Harding agreement that we removed from the agenda today. Ralph Lopez also has a change order that needs to be approved as soon as possible for the Hoover Tank project. Us not approving that could potentially cost the city more money. We need to replace some water line. And if the contractor demobilizes and have to remobilize, I've heard it could be anywhere upwards of $40,000. So it definitely does concern time, which does warrant a special, even an emergency meeting. And then I also have, I've been speaking, as discussed at the last commission meeting, testing the waters with additional city attorneys. I actually missed a phone call from one while we were in our executive session. I'd like to have some kind of temporary contract to get us through until the RFP has been advertised and approved. And with that being stated, we have to get that approved at the next commission meeting to make sure there's not a lapse in coverage of the city attorney.
So what day in June do you want, are you
I
projecting?
want to do it on the 30th to keep it consistent with being on Thursdays, but I'm kind of leaving it in Ralph's hands right now because if the 30th is too late, we'd have to meet earlier to make sure we could do that change order.
Which Ralph?
Ralph Lopez, sorry.
Is the 30th too late?
If I may, Mayor, the contractor is still working on the project at this time, but as soon as they are done with their portion of the project, and there's nothing in our contract that says we have to hold them on site, they can demobilize. So it's still kind of in play. They've got some work to do yet, so I don't have a hard date when they demobilize. So we're trying to get this done as quick as possible. The other issues too is the suppliers won't guarantee a price for more than like 2 days right now with the way the prices are going up. And the longer we wait, the higher the prices are gonna go on this proposed change too. So the quicker, the better.
Can we have the Hardin ironed out by 27th?
I can make some phone calls and see if the agreement's ready to go. They just wanted to be here in person to give an update.
I can do any of those days to accommodate Ralph. I
Yeah.
would just prefer the evenings if possible.
I'm open
So
to
yeah, the week is the 30th.
Thursday. What about Monday? I'm open to doing it on that Monday for the sake of.
The other catch is too, the engineer hasn't actually got me the hard copy of the change order yet. I have the prices from the contractor, but it's not in change order form, so they're actually waiting. We have a underrun on the project. They didn't have as much rocky digging, so this change order is actually gonna hopefully get us some money back on the project that we'll need to do this change order, so it's still kind of in play at the moment. I think by Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, we may have it sooner than that, but hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, I actually have an actual change order in hand.
What's the date on that Monday, the last Monday?
The 27th.
27th, would that be?
Yeah, like I said, it's still in play, so the sooner we can do it, the better. And like I said, hopefully they'll get me that actual change order as quick as possible.
Did you do it on Monday, the 27th?
What time?
We'll do it in the evening. Because evening, it at least accommodate Chris that could work there.
5 o'clock, you mean?
5 o'clock, fine.
5 o'clock.
I'm gonna shoot for 5 PM on the 27th, and if for some reason that doesn't work out, then we'll talk about it, but we could get on the horn. You'll call your side, and I'll call
Yes,
Harlan
sir.
and the attorney as well.
And how could that gives you plenty of time to have it?
Yeah, because
Thank you.
today's only 16, right? Okay.
Give us some time.
Okay.
Perfect, so that was that, and the only other thing I had was I wanted to thank Connie and Eduardo. Eduardo had to get on the road, I'm sure, but for their partnership and all that they do for Main Street, both on the local level and the state level. And then thank Ralph for all his hard work. As you can see, we have a lot of different funds coming in and a lot of hard work that's going on for community development. So I want to thank them specifically, and of course, everybody else throughout the city that does a hard job. So thank you all for what you do.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Arias, items from commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I only have one question, Mark. Are there any parks that have sprinklers down?
Yes.
I did receive a phone call this morning about that,
Yeah.
saying it looked a little bit dry.
Veterans Park, I'm not 100% sure. The one that I know 100% sure that they have an issue with the valve is Dunn Park. That's having issues up there. I could ask about Veterans Park. And I want to say there's some issues with the Northside Park as well, but I'll reach out to them and see exactly which park's having some issues. And thank you again to Connie for all the flowers. They look good over that Veterans Park.
That's actually the, city planning.
Yeah, it's
That's-
planning.
Yeah, it's planning and development
Yeah.
grant. I just planted them.
That's the hard part. Getting the grant is fairly easy and getting them, but somebody actually has to go through and plan them and water them, so thank you.
Did they plant some down by on Second Street?
Not yet. Those still need to be cleaned out. There's a lot
Okay.
of grass and stuff.
And it's so hot right now.
Mark, if you don't mind checking on the sprinklers in Sam's Dorsey too, there's that strip. And I think it was damaged during Great Blocks. But it doesn't look like it's getting water to the full area.
Okay, I'll ask you about that one as well. I know we helped, we kind of had I called it a team building exercise
Right.
where we planted the flowers here in the little planters here in front of City Hall. And I have to look on, I'm not sure they're being watered either, so I'll have to check on those.
Well, God willing, God will pick up his slack and send us some rain, so.
I hope so.
Until then, let's get the sprinklers going, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
You good? All right, Commissioner Moya, or, Mayor Pro Tem Moya?
Okay, did I hear Ms. Montoya last commission meeting that we are gonna have the pool open next year or something like that?
I believe she did say that, but that was a false statement. That's not been verified. If we could, we said we'd like to have it open by next year, but that's not guaranteed.
Okay, because a lot of people were calling and saying, wow, that's great.
Yeah, no, that's not guaranteed.
And if we're misleading people, then it's really gonna,
No, I don't feel we misled anybody. We talked about if certain things aligned appropriately and with funding, and if everything went well, the commission voted a certain way on budget, we could potentially look at opening it on that, but I don't think we ever obligated to opening on by next
well,
year.
there's no way we could, I mean, we could, but I mean, we still have to study and see what's going on with the part that needs to be renovated or corrected. In other words, okay. The other thing is, with Harding, we're doing a contract on lobbying. Have we ever wanted to see if somebody else might be another lobbyist that we might be interested in or looking at? He represents us, he represents the county, which is pretty conflict.
Correct, and that's why we're just bringing it to the commission. It wasn't It's at the discretion of the commission whether or not to approve it.
Okay. I don't know, I'm beginning to question about that. The other thing is, are we doing the code enforcement on some of these weeds that are growing all over town?
Yes, sir, I believe so. To my knowledge, we do have a animal control code enforcement officer employed, so my assumption that's part of the scope of his work, that yes, that should be being conducted at this time.
I went over to the tax auction on Tuesday to see what was going on, since there was such a quite an amount of real estate listed for tax purposes, difficulties. And I was surprised that the bidders, there was, I would say, quite a lot of the listed delinquent tax properties did not go through. But I was surprised that truck stop did not make it at all. Or the First Street property there did not make it at all. Nobody even bid on any of them, you know. And a huge other commercial properties that are around town, a couple of them, they didn't even make it in the list. A lot of real estate, vacant lots did not, and they were down to $400, $200, and people didn't even bid on it. But I can see why, because also a tax lien does not alleviate any type of liens that that real estate has. So that's what makes it a little hard to try to buy a property like that. I just wanted to see what was going on. But other than that, I'm happy, everything seems to be going okay. Hopefully we'll be able to get a new city manager quick so that Mark can actually enjoy his life and not have to worry about the city. So that's about all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Terry.
I put my notes away. Budget,
Yes.
when do you propose we, first of all, work session, we're gonna have a work session on this, that Monday meeting, or?
The 27th, I would like to have a work session to start discussing some budget items. Yes, sir, I would.
Okay, and then let's think about getting a date.
And then in July, for sure, we're gonna be
Yeah.
knocking it out.
So 5 o'clock will be the work session.
5
and
o'clock
6
work
o'clock
session,
commission.
6 commission meeting. what-
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
I'd like for us to discuss to maybe get with the school board sometime and discuss maybe a bond issue for the swimming complex. We talked about bond issue before, and the school system, I think, would be willing, I think the school board would be willing to work with us on that.
And may I interject, and Mesa Lands also.
Yeah, and do a nice big complex. It may take 5 years or more to get it built, but you know, if we got it built, so let's bring that, let's discuss that again.
More options.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Madam Mayor, maybe also another part of that discussion should be that we should start looking at the referendum, because we have an election coming up on November the 2nd, or whatever it is. And we should be prepared to put that on that if we're gonna go with it. So I guess we need somebody to give us some information on the steps to take for the referendum.
Right.
You might meet with RBC, they might be interested also. Mr. Manager.
We are underneath contract, it hasn't expired actually with somebody else. I did look it up, it's not, used to be George K. Baum, and now it's Stifel.
Okay, but they might be down there.
Correct. They will, I'll talk to
Yeah.
them about our bonding capacity as well
Okay.
as the process.
And like I say, I think the school board, they've got money.
Well, I don't say
They've
that.
got money. So let's get them in here to help us.
I'm glad you brought that up because it triggered my mind. That was the other thing we needed to get on the agenda for the end of the month is the donation of the ball fields. They finally are about done wrapping up the survey, I believe.
Okay.
And we have the layout of what the land should be subdivided, how it should be replatted. So we'll be discussing that next commission.
Other than that, I really don't have anything. I've been out of town, so I'm sorry I missed you. Are you open? Oh, okay. So I haven't missed anything.
The bikes on the 18th.
Oh, yes, Saturday, the Chicks on 66 will be here. And Scott, I was gonna ask you, would you mind welcoming it on your sign?
No problem.
40 of them coming in, and they're gonna have, they've got vintage Harleys, and they're gonna be at 2 different hotels and also at Clay's little garage there across from Wild at Heart.
I can put text, so it's not very fancy, but I can.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Just welcome 'em. I talked with Casey Mackey. Isn't that right? Casey
Yes.
Mackey. And he is gonna put flags out. He's gonna put flags out to welcome them in. So I think it's cool, because like right now, I'm getting a daily update on who they're staying. So they're stopping at nice big places all over Route 66. So I want them to take murals and take pictures of our murals too, so. And I'll get with you later.
Where are they going?
They're going to California, to the end of 66. They started in Chicago.
Okay.
So they started in Chicago. So anyway, these ladies are all on Harleys. So I think that's cool. All right, I would entertain a, huh? Yeah, right. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb?
Thank you, everyone, for coming and for the public joining in. I want to keep my.